The holiday season is often portrayed as joyful and picture perfect, but for many women and mothers, it's actually one of the most stressful times of the year. From new moms trying to create that holiday magic for the first time to seasoned moms juggling traditions, travel, and expectations, the emotional load tends to fall heavily and sometimes exclusively on them. I'm sorry, not to stereotype all the guys; they just leave it up to mom to handle everything. Well, last year, the U.S. Surgeon General sounded the alarm about the mental health of parents, especially mothers. And this time of year, clinicians say they consistently see a sharp spike in stress, anxiety, and burnout. So, this is a big deal. So, with us this morning, we have two experts who work closely with mothers and families: Dr. Jessica McCarthy, founder and clinical director of Elements Psychological Services, and Kara Kushnir, LCSW, so social worker and perinatal mental health specialist and founder of A Work of Heart Counseling. Thank you both for being here.
Thanks for having us, Ken.
You bet. And speaking as somebody who proudly tells everybody who asks, I have been to therapists and psychologists many, many times over my life, and there is nothing to be embarrassed about. And you should be able to say it as proudly as you would say you went to your general practitioner for a flu shot. There's should be no stigma behind it. We often hear that holidays are magical, right? Especially for families. But for many moms, that magic comes with enormous pressure. So, either one who'd like to pick this up first, what are you seeing in your practices this time of year?
I can certainly speak to that as somebody working really focused with new parents as well as moms in different seasons in general. This is probably one of the most stressful times of year. You've made it through, if you have school age children, through the new beginning of a school year, and you're trying to continue to make the magic happen. But really, around this time of year, it's all about what are we going to get? What is everybody getting as toys? What's happening? And then also, what traditions should our family have, and how do we keep it going? And it's a time that's very tumultuous for new moms, especially because there's those expectations of what it's going to look like. And that's what we see for moms in general, I think, across the board is the feeling of expectation, whether it's from social media, from peers, from friends, family. There's a lot of feeling of I'm supposed to, or I should be doing it this way, and trying to help families navigate that is a big conversation topic that we have in our offices here.
You bet. And for Dr. McCarthy now, the Surgeon General recently highlighted the mental health crisis among parents, especially moms. So how does that warning show up for you during the holiday season in your mind?
So, the holiday season is actually one of the most difficult times, not just for women and families in general, but especially for women who are in relationships that have domestic violence, whether that's physical abuse or emotional abuse. The holidays is one of the times that mothers want to try to keep the normalcy, preserve the sense of tradition and happiness, when in fact it's actually one of the most dangerous times for women and families because of increased substance use, isolation, pressure, stress, a lot of the things that Kara was talking about. And excuse me, there's a reason why January is actually called divorce season, is because some of
Mm.
the stress and the mental load that women who have been in these disruptive and destructive relationships comes to a head, and they ultimately take the opportunity of the new year to leave.
And how about the opportunity, if you will, to dabble too much in substance? We go to parties, we're stressed, we say, you know what, I'll have that extra glass of wine, or I'll have, if we smoke marijuana, whatever, or take an edible because you need it because you're stressed out. That could lead to something. Obviously, when there's an exorbitant, an inordinate amount of stress on a parent. Kara, we'll talk with you about that. Have you seen that? And do people then start to get stressed? And when should they really be worried about substance and overuse of substances?
Sure. I think there is certainly a normalization of substance use during the holidays, whether it is having a drink or a cocktail with family and friends. And with the legalization of marijuana, we see an increase in utilization of that in families. And it's normalized in social media culture as well around utilizing edibles, things like that. But I think that there's a difference between having a drink and enjoying something with a family member or partaking in celebration and self-medicating with substance or using substance as an escape, which is something that we will talk with families about, unfortunately, sometimes that it becomes overused or it becomes a crutch because there are underlying needs or issues that are not being addressed. And it becomes then the way in which they're coping. And there are other ways that we can manage that. So anytime that it feels like it is the only ouch, it feels like it is something where there's question around it, or you're noticing a loved one's consumption is questionable, it's time to reach out. There's no necessarily best time to do it, but we want to do it before it becomes a problem, ideally, and start to notice those signs. And it really is a fine line between fun and where this is no longer functional.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. I mean, I used to weigh 360 pounds. I'm 180 now, but I used to reach for alcohol and I used to reach for food. I mean, addictive behavior is addictive behavior, whether it's food, alcohol. People don't think, they think, well, alcohol shows a weakness. Now, anytime you have to use something to cope, that's a challenge. And so I'm with you. And it's so easy to just start on that spiral where you say, oh, you know what? I have a party today. I'll have 2 drinks here. I'll have 2 drinks there. Before you know it, you're having drinks all day. And then it makes it a little easier. And then you're at home. You're like, I'm going to have one more nightcap. Before you know it, now you've raised the bar, if you will, and you keep going. And then it's hard to come back from that. Dr. McCarthy, too, single moms and divorced moms kind of experience the holidays differently. Talk about the unique challenges that each faces during this time of year.
Yes, as a divorced mom myself, I've been divorced for almost 5 years now. It is an incredibly, sometimes actually peaceful time because some of the stressors and the difficulties that you faced in marriage are no longer there. But it can also be an incredibly, incredibly stressful time for single parents. The increased financial pressure, the increased pressure to make the magic, the increased pressure to kind of follow traditions that may have previously existed, wanting to prioritize the children while still dealing with some of the underlying stressors that can carry over into a divorce dynamic or a co-parenting dynamic. The holidays tend to exacerbate that. It's a time that's rife for comparison, whether it's to other children's and families, to what we see even on television in terms of what the standard of a normal, happy, healthy holiday season looks like, and even what a normal family might look like. That pressure can lead to not just difficulty in terms of how women are coping, but how that may trickle down to the children as well. The pressure falls on the mom to make the magic happen. And if mom is struggling, then the children are going to feel that as well. And then we certainly don't see magic during the holiday season.
Definitely. We got about 30 seconds left. I'm just going to ask Kara really fast about women who are domestic abuse victims and what the holidays mean to them and how people around them need to support them differently.
There's so much pressure, I think, for DV survivors to navigate this season from the lens of, continuing with, like what Dr. McCarthy was saying, what was the norm before? And so anything that can be done, which is why, Dr. McCarthy and I have teamed up to create an initiative for these moms and these families, is around their ability to feel a sense of normalcy, which is something that is lacking for these moms during this season. So people who can create a sense of acknowledgement, safety, and really access to things that help them feel normal.
I'm sorry. I wish we had another hour on this. Dr. Jessica McCarthy, founder and clinical director of Elements Psychological Services, Kara Kushnir, LCSW and perinatal mental health specialist, founder of A Work of Heart Counseling. You both do such essential work. Thank you and happy holidays to you both.
Thanks, and to you again.
You bet.